Okay, breaking every rule about YouTube hooks up front, Montevideo didn't blow my mind. The sights are fine. The food, fine. There's not one thing here I'd tell you it's worth crossing the world for. Yet I could, still, genuinely, 100% see myself living in this city. Both of these things are true at once. And I'm not the only one saying that. Mercer has ranked this as the most livable city in South America, ahead of Buenos Aires and ahead of Rio. And it took me 4 days here to work out how a city this ordinary could top that list. Day 1 starts in Madrid, because there's no direct flight to Uruguay from the UK. From there, it's the long leg south across the Atlantic to a small country wedged between two enormous ones. Argentina on one side and Brazil on the other. Taking the Uber from the airport into the city, my first impressions are fine, looks alright. And side note here, there's not a great deal of public transport. The city's actually pretty expansive. There are some buses, but I found that Uber was just the most reliable way for me to get around. It's relatively cheap, and the streets are quiet enough that no journey really takes that long. I landed on Sunday, when the Tristán Narvaja street market takes over.
Oh my god! What the size of them! They're massive!
It starts as a few bookstalls and just keeps spreading until it's swallowed whole neighbourhoods. Antiques, engine parts, vinyls, junk, treasure, shoulder to shoulder, street after street, all the way down.
And they're selling many woolen jumpers here. Yeah, everyone's got these things for like a pipe. In comparison to other street markets, it's quite, although it's really big and it's really busy, there's lots of people here. It just feels quite chill, apart from me falling in a hole. Most of them are accepting cards, is that? This is pretty cool. There's quite a lot though, isn't it? Just like your random sheep's head. Get your sheep's heads.
I didn't know it yet, but this is about as hectic as Montevideo gets.
I'm literally like a block away from the chaos of the market and the streets are dead again.
To get my bearings, I headed up to the Mirador, a free viewpoint on top of the city hall.
Only one floor option. Yes, to come in here, you kind of come around the back of the building. Feels like you're coming into a public library. But actually, when you're up on the rooftop, it's really nice. All landscaped bits, lots of benches. Very hot. It's quite a cool viewpoint, and it's free. It's kind of in the middle of the city, so you can see like the old town, and then the more modern bit, which is here. We're trying to get into the Uruguayan way of eating. So we can't go for dinner until about 10 o'clock. By the time I'm normally going to bed. Between lunch and dinner, they have another meal called merienda. So that's what we're going for now. It basically just seems like high tea. It's the hotel we're doing it, and it's just scones and sandwiches. I'll do that. Go to a place one of the Uber drivers told us to go for the sunset, and then go for dinner.
Early evening on my first day, I headed down to the waterfront. And this is where the ranking starts to make a bit of sense. Everybody is out. Families, couples, people on their own, old, young, the whole city just sat on the grass along the waterfront doing nothing in particular. This is just what evening is here in summer. This was my first sunset of the trip, and the first time I caught myself thinking, I could live here. Starting off day 2, into the centre, at Plaza Independencia. There's really nobody here selling tours. There's nobody dressed up. There's no tourist shops. It's just commuters cutting through on their way to work. The building looming over us is Palacio Salvo. When it opened in 1928, it was the tallest building in South America. And the architect, an Italian called Mario Palanti, built its near twin across the water in Buenos Aires. The story Uruguayans like to tell is that the two towers were supposed to be able to signal each other with beams of light. Although sorry to disappoint any flat earthers here, due to the curvature of the earth and the 200-kilometre distance between the two towers, that is completely impossible. It's a good story though. Underneath the main square, you'll find the tomb of José Artigas, the founding father of Uruguay. It's guarded round the clock by soldiers. But this shrine was actually built in the 70s by a military dictatorship, trying to wrap itself in Artigas' name. Uruguay spent 12 years under that dictatorship, and per head, it locked up more political prisoners than almost anywhere else on earth. But they came out of it and built one of the most stable, liberal democracies anywhere in the world. From there, it's a short walk into the old town. Plaza de la Constitución. The old Cabildo. And the Metropolitan Cathedral. All perfectly nice, but nothing worth coming for. The cathedral does hide the best fact of the day though. Uruguay is the most secular country in Latin America. They separated church and state over a century ago, and went as far as renaming public holidays. Easter week, officially known as Tourism Week, and Christmas, Family Day. Lunch was always going to be at the Mercado del Puerto. It's a huge iron hall, made in England and shipped over in the 1860s. The smell hits you before anything else, packed with grills the length of a small car, every one of them buried under meat. Beef is the thing here. and there's something like 4 cows for every single person in Uruguay. Then the bill turns up, and it stings a bit. Uruguay taxes itself hard, and pours this revenue into a proper welfare state. Healthcare, free university, pensions. You're not paying tourist prices. You're paying the running costs of a country that actually functions. Check out the Farmacia, a cafe built inside a 100-year-old pharmacy. An Uber driver had let us know about a small, low-key music festival down at Plaza España. This is Candombe, live drums, and a park full of people just sat around with a drink, really chilled, listening to the music as the sun goes down over the water. Candombe came here with enslaved West Africans about 2 centuries ago. The music outlived slavery and the dictatorship that tried to stamp it out.
I really like this city. Everything's just so chilled and even this, it's not like a big party. It's just chill out, have a drink.
So, lunch in a market from the 1860s. Dinner in a market from about 5 minutes ago. This is Mercado Ferrando, the new Montevideo. It's all neon and flat whites.
Yeah, it's another beautiful day. Today we're doing Pocitos with the nice beach, but we're not going to the beach because we're not prepared for the beach. Got 1 pair of swim shorts, no towels, no flip-flops, and I don't want a sandy crack. Good crack, mate. Sandy crack. Yeah, that's a good crack. When we got up this morning, it was raining, but there's not a single cloud in the sky now. It's completely burnt off. So we're going to go get breakfast somewhere. I think the nice thing as well, even though it's the height of summer and it's really hot and humid, because all the streets are tree lined, so there's a lot of shade. It's quite comfortable walking about, although the city's much bigger than you think. I had it in my head that it was quite a small place and everything would be walkable, but I've used Uber quite a lot. So we're ready to go and visit this crazy house museum thing that we saw the first day we came here. And apparently it's the former home of this Uruguayan architect come alchemist. Don't know how those two things really mix together, but basically he built himself this fucking wacky as hell house with a replica of a boat on the front of it. And it's now a museum. This is one of the weird things you can do in Montevideo.
Inside, it's a maze. There's not really any logic to any of it.
This is about Ripley's, believe it or not. It's quite an odd place. The guy was clearly a bit nuts. Now look at this. Imagine just building this as your house. It's so odd because it's just built between these very normal buildings.
In a city this chill and sensible, this guy built himself a monument to chaos, and it's pretty cool.
This looks spooky. Oh, I'm not sure what these installations are supposed to represent. It's cool. It's a bit odd. And the building is odd. I'm guessing the guy was odd. Very hot and sweaty inside this weird house thing. But standing here, The breeze does feel like you're at the front of a ship. Sorry, just trying my pits. Like, was he a massive horror film fan? Oh, it's just given like Dracula's castle or some sort of insane house. You're supposed to just peek through here? It seems like an absolute lunatic's designed a house.
It's definitely one of the weirdest things in this otherwise pretty normal city. Then down to the water. This is Playa de los Pocitos, the city beach. Proper sand with tower blocks right behind it.
Mate, it's beautiful. The beach is beautiful. Weather's beautiful. Yeah, like other beach towns that we've been to on the coast in South America, like in Rio and stuff. There's loads of vendors trying to sell you stuff, and loads of bars, restaurants, and it's quite chaotic, whereas this just feels like, well, it's just chill. Yeah, it's beautiful. Is that poo? No, that is a dirty sock. But yeah, other than the dirty sock, it's very clean, all looked after.
There's about 13 miles of seafront here, without a single billboard or beach club on any of it. There's no members club roped off. The entire city, top to bottom, ends up on the same stretch of sand.
It's a bit weird to think that this massive, what appears to be the Atlantic Ocean, isn't actually an ocean. It isn't even a sea, it's a river. The Rio de la Plata, the widest river in the world. And on the other side is Argentina. It was really surprising to be here, which you think would be like a proper tourist hotspot. And I did have to wait a couple of minutes to get a stroller with the sign, but it's so, like, just not that busy at all. And this beach is lovely, although it's red flag today. And the water's like a little bit grim, but it is a river, so you wouldn't expect clear water, right? Because all the sediment and whatever.
This is Punta Carretas shopping mall. This building used to be a prison, and in 1971 it staged the single biggest jailbreak of the century. More than 100 political prisoners escaped through a tunnel dug under these streets in one night. One of the 100 was a guy called Pepe. He was a guerrilla, shot 6 times, spent 14 years locked up, and in 2010 Uruguay elected him president. In office, he gave away most of his salary, skipped the presidential palace to stay on his little flower farm, and drove himself around in a clapped out old Beetle. Abroad, he was adored. At home, it's complicated. And years after all of it, as president, Pepe came back here and pottered around the shops built over the cell he tunnelled out of.
So it's our last full day in Montevideo today, and we're going to go and tick off a couple of things. Teatro Solís, the agriculture market, and we might do that contemporary art museum that's in a jail. Because the shopping centre that was in a jail was a little bit underwhelming. It wasn't very jaily. I was expecting like H&M behind bars and stuff.
The old theatre just off of Plaza Independencia has been going since 1856. Juan Díaz de Solís was the first European to sail into this river back in 1516. He came ashore and was killed more or less on arrival. The famous version of the story says that the locals ate him. Historians reckon that's not true. The country's most famous theatre is named after a man who barely made it off the beach. This is the Parliament building, which certainly isn't modest. Took over 20 years to build, and it's covered inside and out in Uruguayan marble, nearly 50 different kinds.
It has got a little bit more rustic as we've came away from the centre around here. It's still not like as rustic as Bogota or Medellin or Sao Paulo or Rio. Oh wow, what a building. And it is air conditioned. Oh.
The Mercado Agrícola, a proper covered market where people do their weekly shop.
It's more like an indoor, well, it is an indoor market, but it's more like permanent shops instead of stalls.
This art gallery is built in an old prison. That's 2 former prisons in 4 days. One's a mall, one's an art gallery. By now the picture's familiar. Families, couples, people on their own, nobody doing anything in particular, and nobody in any hurry to. So the verdict I opened with hasn't moved. The sights here are fine. The food is fine. And maybe that's what the most livable actually means. A place where you can do the same week in the same city for 40 years and stay sane. Could I live here? Yeah. Honestly, I'm sold.